الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد. Then we gathered inshallah ta'ala in a house from the houses of Allah Azza wa Jal in order to study His religion. So we hope for the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that the angels will descend upon us, and the mercy and the tranquility as well will descend upon us, and that we will make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala pleased by being sincere to Him in this action, bi'idhnillah. This action, or this book, is called Ashra Yajri Thawabuha Ba'd al-Mamat, 10 actions which the reward of these actions will continue to reach a person even after his death. We commonly hear the statement of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, إذا مات الإنسان وانقطع عنه عمله إلا من ثلاث, that when a person passes away, that all of his actions are cut off from him except three. إلا من صدقة جارية أو علم ينتفع به أو ولد صالح يدعو له. A continuous charity, a knowledge which is continued to be benefited by, and a righteous child who makes dua for the parent. But this sadaqatun jariyah, what is this? What does this mean? Inshallah, this book is going to explain that. He's going to give us 10 categories. One of them is sadaqatun jariyah. Although the first 9 also fall under, bi'idhnillah, sadaqatun jariyah, or mostly close to it. And that's because sadaqah is something which is general and can't be specified due to time. Who would have ever thought that sending out an email or an ebook or an audio or a video would have been something we could do? We never imagined that when we were young. And they never imagined it for sure 1400 years ago. So this sadaqatun jariyah includes anything that might come up in the future, as well as these other matters that are mentioned. Why is this important? This is important because the Prophet ﷺ, he said, what means that the average age of my ummah is 60 some odd years. Most of us here, are at least 30 something, which means half of our life is pretty much over, right? And those who live longer in their 70s and 80s and 90s are few and far in between. And so we want to take advantage of this short time that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us and do something that its reward can continue, as we will see, even after we pass away. And for the brother who has young children with him, and anyone else who has young children, it's important for us to teach our children to have good intentions. When they go out to ride their bikes or play with the neighbors or just go outside to the store, tell them, have the intention. If I see an old lady or an old man needs help across the street, intend to help them. They may go to the store 10 times and never see an old person that needs assistance. But every time they go out, if they have that intention, that if I see an old person, I'm going to help them, every time they're going to get that reward. Just for having that intention, they're going to get the reward of helping someone. So to teach your children to have these good intentions, to do good deeds, such as I see something, a limb falling out of a tree in the middle of the sidewalk or in the middle of the street, blocking traffic. Maybe someone can trip over to get hurt. I'm going to move it out of the road. I'm going to pick up trash and make Allah's earth clean. All of these intentions. You may not run across the limb. You may not run across trash. But if you do, then you can do it. And if not, then you still get the reward as if you did it. So these things that you will see on the day of judgment, inshallah ta'ala. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, on the authority of Anas ibn Malik radiallahu anhu, he said, it is recorded in Al-Bazar in his Musnad, and Shaykh Al-Albani said it is Hasan. He said, Sab'un yajri lil-abdi ajruhunna min ba'di mawtihi. There are 7 actions which a person will continue to receive the reward after his death. Wa huwa fi qabrihi, and he's in his grave. Man allama ilman, whoever taught some knowledge. I said 10. In this hadith, there's 7, right? Man allama ilman, whoever taught someone some knowledge. O kara nahran, or split a river or caused a river to flow in a different direction in order to benefit those people. أو حفر بئر, or dug a well. أو غرس نخلا, or planted a date palm tree. أو بنى مسجدا, or built a masjid. أو ورث مصحفا, or left a mushaf as inheritance, or gave it as an endowment, to give a mushaf as to someone or to an organization. أو ترك ولدا يستغفر له بعد موته, or he leaves behind a child who makes dua for him after he passes away. Here in this hadith there are 7. In the hadith of Abu Umama al-Bahili, which is recorded by Imam Ahmed in his Musnad, and Shaykh al-Albani said it's Sahih, that he heard, Abu Umama al-Bahili radiallahu anhu said he heard the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam say, أربعون تجري عليهم أجورهم بعد الموت. There are 4 things that the person will continue to receive reward for after his death. The first thing we want to take a side note on is, in the first hadith it said 7, here it says 4, maybe another hadith says 3, another hadith says 5. This doesn't mean that there's only 7, only 4, only 5, only 3. The purpose is for you to memorize. So he said 7, right? So now, if you say, okay, he taught something, he had left behind a child, planted a tree, built a masjid. That's 4, I'm missing 3. It helps you, right? If I just said 12 things off the top of my head and you never counted them yourself, then you would not know what you're missing. Did I miss 2? Did I miss 4? Did I miss 1? I don't know if I'm missing anything. Whereas if you say 7, and I try to recall 7 and I can only come up with 4, 5, or 6, I know what I'm missing and I can try to look for those. So this is a teaching tool. Doesn't mean there's only 7, doesn't mean there's only 4, just 7 he's talking about here, 4 he's talking about here. So 4 things in this hadith. He said the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to continue to reach a person after his death. رَجُلٌ مَاتَ مُرَابِطًا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. A person who died guarding the frontiers of the Muslim lands. So a soldier who is standing guard, protecting the lands, a person who dies like this. This wasn't mentioned in the first hadith. All right? وَرَجُلٌ عَلَّمَ عِلْمًا فَأَجْرُهُ يَجْرِي عَلَيْهِ مَا عُمِلَ بِهِ. And a person who taught some knowledge. This was mentioned in the first one. A person who was taught some knowledge, as long as that knowledge is continued to be benefited from. Right? So someone writes a book, he prints 10 copies, those 10 copies get burnt, right? 100 years later, after 100 years, no more ajr for that, because the knowledge is gone, right? Unless someone acted upon it and wrote something else, and it's different. وَرَجُلٌ أَجْرَ صَدَقَةً فَأَجْرُهَا يَجْرِي عَلَيْهِ مَا جَرَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ. And a person who gave some sadaqah, this is general, he gave some type of charity, and the people are continuously using that charity. That thing is still in use, right? You dedicate a school for the Muslims, but after 100 years, that school is decrepit, can't be used, the roof fell in, the plumbing's gone, it's no good anymore. That benefit stopped, right? That benefit stopped. وَرَجُلٌ تَرَكَ وَلَدًا صَالِحًا يَدْعُ لَهُ. And a man who left behind a righteous child who makes dua for him. Again, this was mentioned in the first hadith. And in this hadith from Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, إِنَّ مِمَّن يَلْحَقُ الْمُؤْمِنَ مِنْ عَمَلِهِ وَحَسَنَاتِهِ بَعْدَ مَوْتِهِ. Indeed, that which a believer will meet or come across or come back in contact with from his good deeds after his death, ilman allamahu wa nasharahu, a knowledge which he taught and he spread it. Wa waladun salihan tarakahu, and a righteous child which he left behind. Wa mushafan warrathahu, and a mushaf which he donated. O masjidan banahu, or a masjid which he built. O baytan libni sabili banahu, or a house, a building. And all these, inshallah, will be explained briefly. A house or a building which is built for those people who are wayfarers. They're travelers. They're along the road. They need a place to stay overnight. If you built something for them so they'd have a place, similar to a hotel, like a free hotel, small hotel, whatever, right? You give them a free room, right? Then this is from those actions. أو صدقة أخرجها من ماله في صحته وحياته, or a charity which a person gave while he was healthy, right? And while he was alive. يلحقه من بعد موته, he will meet these things, meaning the rewards, even after he passes away. So we can see that these things are something, they're 10 in total, and we'll go through each one. Some of them mentioned in each hadith, and some of them are extra. The person who is sincere to himself, who is honest with himself and wants to do good, then he's going to look at these 10 things and see how he can have a portion of this. Maybe all 10 of them might be difficult, but I don't think so. If you think positive and think that Allah Azza wa Jal can do anything and everything, right? That He can give us this nice masjid after we were in such bad situation with the masjid, or whatever it might be in life. That we came from a war-torn country and now we're living in peace and we're able to help our families and we're able to be this and all these things. We come from kufr and became Muslims. All these things, acquiring a portion of these 10 is easy. Inshallah ta'ala, as we'll see. This is for the person who takes a heed to the hadith of Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma, in which the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said to a person when he was giving him some advice, he said, "Igtanim khamsin qabla khams." Take advantage of 5 before 5. Shababaka qabla haramak. Your youth before your decrepitude, before your senility, being an old person. Right? Wasihatak qabla saqamak. And your health before your sickness. Waghinak qabla faqrak. And your wealth before being poor. Wafaragak qabla shughlak. And your free time before you become busy. وَحَيَاتَكَ قَبْلَ مَوْتِكَ, and your life before your death. So while your father is telling you to memorize Quran, right, to be busy with learning your religion, and you say, inshallah, I'm going to do this now, I'm going to do that now. Later on, you're going to be busy. If you think you're not busy now, wait till you enter high school. It's going to be busy. And then you get college, it's even busier. And then you got to start earning a living. And then you got to get married. And then you got kids. And when are you going to do what you could have done all that time while you were young? So take advantage. Take advantage of your being in good shape, right? Before you become in bad shape. When it's hard to pray standing up sometimes. And you got to pray in a chair sometimes, right? You can't stand up, right? You can't fast because you have diabetes, or you have some medicine that you have to take during the daytime, and it prevents you from fasting. Take advantage and fast, because if you pray your night prayers and if you fast your voluntary fast, then when you get too sick or too old or whatever the case might be, Allah still will reward you for fasting, still reward you for salat as if you were healthy. And this is one of the secrets behind this hadith, that you will continue to get these rewards even after you die. Why is this? Partially because had you lived longer, you would have continued to do so. Likewise, the kuffar, they go to the hellfire forever. They disobey Allah just 60 years, 80 years, maybe 100 years they commit shirk. Why do they deserve 1,000,000, gazillion, trillion years in hellfire? Ain't that unfair? Is that unfair to you? That they only disobeyed Allah and committed shirk for 100 years, yet gazillion, trillion, billion, forever in the hellfire. Is that fair? Yes. Because had they lived a gazillion, gillion, trillion years, they would have continued to commit shirk all those years. Allah gave them 100 years, and they can't make tawbah in 100 years. SubhanAllah. So likewise, you do these good deeds, and you want good for them. If I live forever, I continue to get the reward, because I would continue to do them, right? So, inside this book, this small book, which we translated, and inshallah ta'ala will be available in print form later this year, the Shaykh Abdul Razak al-Badr, hafidhullah, explains them all. The first one is ta'limul ilm, teaching some knowledge. And this hadith, or this khisal, this characteristic was mentioned in all 3 hadith. The hadith of Anas ibn Malik, the hadith of Abu Umama al-Bahili, and the hadith of Abu Hurairah. All three of them contain someone teaching some knowledge, right? What does this include? It includes teaching as if what we're doing now, includes teaching like the weekend school, which we hope to open back up, inshallah ta'ala. The brothers, inshallah, I'm going to stay on them. Bi'idhnillah, the brothers Fadl and Muhammad and Mustafa, as well as anyone who else wants to help them to open up a weekend school, to teach Quran, to teach Aqidah, to teach Salat, right? All of this is teaching, which means you have to learn. You have to learn in order to teach, right? The Prophet ﷺ was a teacher, and all the prophets were teachers. So teaching isn't following the footsteps of the Prophet ﷺ. You don't have to be a scholar to teach. You don't have to dedicate 50 years. You don't have to dedicate and be a hafiz of Quran. You don't have to memorize 3,000 hadith to teach. All you have to do is teach what you know. As the Prophet ﷺ, he said, "Balighu anni walau ayah." He said, convey from me even if just one ayah. So all you have to know is one ayah? Yes. But the important part that we have to remember here is balighu anni. Convey from me. Convey according to me what you've taught, what you learned from me. Don't just get up there, I learned the ayah, and then go off the top of your head and start giving your own tafsir. Balighu anni. Convey from me, even if it's just the ayah. So if all you know is a little bit, teach a little bit. The more you know, the more you teach. Also, inside of this is writing books or translating books. Can also include sharing books and e-books, buying books and dedicating them to masajid, buying books and dedicating them to schools, buying books and dedicating them to students of knowledge. This is a way. This is all teaching. This is all connected to teaching some knowledge. Someone says, man, I really wish I had Zad al-Ma'ad. Go online, look up how much is Zad al-Ma'ad, buy it and give it to them. Right? Someone says, man, we need 14 books for our students at school. Buy those books. Right? Buy those books. E-books, opening up a Telegram channel, sharing e-books. All of this is part of teaching knowledge. Right? Sharing videos. You hear a good clip by Sheikh Abdul Razak, a good clip by Sheikh Suleiman, a good khutbah you get from the imam, you get it, say, man, I'm going to share that. Right? I'm going to share that because I know some people need to hear that. And hopefully, with that, you will continue to get knowledge. And you will continue to get rewards as long as that knowledge is being passed around. The second of them he mentioned is Ijra al-Nahar, or Qara al-Nahar. So basically, a river is flowing in one direction. If you were to go and dig and bring a branch of that river off to a city or to a village or something, and it could be that we say, hey man, we're going to put a drinking fountain outside on the parking lot for anyone who walks by and is thirsty. So you go and say, I'm going to buy the pipes, I'm going to dig in, I'm going to connect to the thing and run its stuff out there. All that's connected into. We don't necessarily, in America, split off rivers and bring branches. It's already been done for us, right? But there are countries where that still needs to be done. There are countries where the river needs to be redirected so that the farmlands and stuff can receive that water, right? So all of this is included in that. And saqi al-ma, giving someone water to drink, is from the best sadaqah, right? The best sadaqah. Also, the third action, which is closely related, is hafr al-abar, to dig wells. This is closely related. We don't need wells in America. We have water coming through our sewer system, our pipe system. But in other countries, they're needed. In Somalia, in Kenya, in Uganda, in Indonesia maybe, different countries. They need water, they need wells. Every year, in Kuwait, they dig thousands of wells in other countries. Thousands of wells, right? And sometimes wells dry up, and you have to dig another one. So then that sadaqah ends, right? But this is something that can be done, and I believe it's probably maybe like $500 to dig a well. Huh?
1,000.
Sometimes 1,000. I've seen it expensive, but I've also seen it very cheap. In some countries, it's cheap. He says 1,000. Just imagine that you go somewhere and you see this is Bi'r Abul Yaman Khalil Klopfenstein. People are drinking from it. The whole village drinking from your water. Bi'r Muhammad Sadiq, Bi'r Shab'an, Bi'r Abdurrahman, Bi'r Tariq. Subhanallah. People are saying they don't even know who this guy is. Subhanallah. They make dua for Tariq. They make dua for Shaban. They make dua for you just because, right, you dug a well. It didn't cost you much money, right? A couple years worth of Netflix subscription, right? طيب. And not only is it for the people who benefit from these wells. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Man hafara ma'an lam yashrab minhu kabdan hara min jinnin wala insin wala sab'in wala ta'irin illa ajarahu Allahu yawm al-qiyamah." That no person digs a well and then no one drinks from it. Not any type of live liver. Someone has a liver and is alive. It's not dead, right? Not from the jinn or the human beings or the animals or the birds. Anything that drinks from that water, then or benefits from that water, that person's going to see that reward Yawm al-Qiyamah. SubhanAllah. A bird, an ant, a dog. We all know the man who went down in the well and he was thirsty, so he climbed down in the well and gave himself some water. And then he came out of the well. He saw a dog that was thirsty. He said, "SubhanAllah, this dog has been afflicted by what I was afflicted by." And he went down in there and got his shoe and got water in his shoe and came up and gave the dog thirst. And because of this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgave him. Because of this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, giving somebody water to drink, right? The fourth characteristic. Who can tell me the first three before we continue? The first one, ta'alim al-ilm, or ta'lim al-ilm. Second one, splitting the river, redirecting the river. The third one, digging wells. No. The fourth one, ghars al-nakhl, planting date palm trees. And the sheikh says here, any kind of tree which is beneficial. But the date palm tree was mentioned because of the extreme benefit, and that the date palm tree is the best type of tree. All of it is used, everything. Its roots, its leaves, its limbs, everything from the date palm tree is beneficial. So he does this. But any type of tree that you plant, and evidence for this is that the Prophet ﷺ, he said, "Ma min muslimin yaghrisu gharsan." There's no Muslim who plants a plant. He didn't say nakhla. He said gharsan, a plant, right? Oh, yazra'u zar'an, or harvest or plant some type of harvest that you're going to, like potatoes or whatever you might farm. فَيَأْكُلُ مِنْهُ طَيْرٌ أَوْ إِنسَانٍ أَوْ بَهِيمَةٌ, or and a bird eats from it, or a human eats from it, or an animal eats from it. Any type of tree, lemon tree, orange tree, acorn tree, whatever thing is beneficial, إِلَّا كَانَ لَهُ بِهِ صَدَقَةٌ, except that's a sadaqah for him, a charity for him. So they eat from it, they build a house in it, they build a nest in it, or they build a nest inside the wood, they hollow it out, or they use it for shade, whatever the case might be. All of that, you get the reward for that. Any kind of tree. The fifth action, bina al-masajid, building masajid. Someone say, "I can't build a masjid, man. It costs a lot of money." It does. It costs a lot of money, right? From the ground up, it costs millions of dollars probably. But you don't have to build it all by yourself. You can share with others. You can give $5. You can give 5 cents, right? You can give $50. You can give $500. You don't have to do it all, right? You can not have money, but you got help. I know how to hang drywall. I know how to do plumbing or carpet, or I know how to clean up. I don't know how to do anything. I ain't got no skills, but I can clean. You do the work, I'll come behind you and I'll get all the debris out so no one's falling over and hurting themselves. I can do that. All of this is part of building. You can't have a building site without having someone clean up, trust me. If you don't clean up after yourself, it's going to get, you're going to not want to work. It's going to look like chaos. You're going to say, forget it. But if it's clean, you got a clean job site, you want to go work, right? But if it's not clean, you're not going to want to work. And it's dangerous if it's not clean. All that's part of building. So building masajid. Also, building masajid means not just building them, not just actually using your hands, right, or your money, but it also means praying in them, right? Praying in them, reading Quran in them, right? Keeping them alive with the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as he says, إِنَّمَا يَعْمُرُ مَسَاجِدَ اللَّهِ مَنْ آمَنَ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ. That the only one who maintains the houses of Allah are the ones who believe in Allah and the last day. And he says, فِي بُيُوتٍ أَذِنَ اللَّهُ أَن تُرْفَعُ وَيُذْكَرَ فِيهَا اسْمُهُ. That in houses that Allah allows that His name be mentioned in them, right? And raised up and mentioned in them. يُصَبِّحُ لَهُ فِيهَا بِالْغُدُوِّ وَالْأَصَالِ. He is glorified, they glorify Him basically in the mornings and in the evenings. رِجَالٌ لَا تُلْهِيهِمْ تِجَارَةٌ وَلَا بَيْعٌ عَنْ ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ وَإِقَامَ الصَّلَاةِ وَإِيتَاءِ الزَّكَاةِ. Men who the business and buying and selling does not distract them from the remembrance of Allah, and they establish the salah and they pay the zakat. All of that's part of building masajid. If we build a masjid and no one prays in it, what good is it? Right? So, I don't have money, I don't have time, I don't have this, but I can come in and I can read Quran. I can come in and pray. I can come in and keep the masjid alive. This is also part of building masajid. The second one, he says, وَرَّثَتْ الْمَصَاحِفِ. Donating mushafs. Right? Donating mushafs. This can include buying mushafs, printing mushafs. That's something I would like to do for us in the future. I would like to buy a khat, a handwritten copy from somebody like Sheikh Taha Hussein or something like this, and be able to print something for us. Be able to print something from Grand Masjid. This is a masjid that we did the borders, we did everything, made it nice, and did it for the people. You know, trying to protect ourselves and trying to protect our masjid and then protect our community, right? Because by busying ourselves and spreading this type of information, inshallah, Allah Azza wa Jalla will protect us in this life and the next. So printing masahif, donating masahif, buying them and donating them to masajid. Maybe masajid in America don't need them, maybe. But I'll tell you who needs them. Other countries. I've seen masajid in Africa, and all they have is those ones that we want to throw away and burn. No covers, papers are tattered, ripped up, tape, you know, in bad condition. And that's all they have. That's the best they have. And for us, we take them off the shelf and put them in a burn pile, right? Also, a country might surprise you, Egypt. Egypt does not print a mushaf except for sale. But they don't have them for their masajid. Those old masahif up there, that's the best you might find in most masjids in Egypt. They don't have, like Saudi does, all brand new mushafs. When you go to Hajj and Umrah, brand new. Kuwait, all brand new. They get rid of them, right? They got all those like them blue ones up there, real pretty nice ones, right? There's no torn up ones. Many countries need this. Say, I'm going to buy a box of 50 and send it to somebody. Wallahi, sadaqah. Sadaqah. The seventh action, tarbiyat al-abna ala salah, to raise your children upon goodness. And this is narrated in all three hadith, because all three hadith mention a man leaving behind a child that makes dua for him. Right? A man leaves behind a child. He's not going to make dua if he's not righteous. The children, as they say, are our future. The children, if they're righteous, the community will be righteous. The society will be righteous. Our future will be righteous. And if we leave our kids alone and we don't educate them, we don't bring them to durus, we don't teach them, we don't pay, whatever it might be, right? Whatever it might be. People shouldn't charge to teach Quran. People shouldn't charge to teach Arabic for real. People should do this for Allah Azza wa Jalla and hope that they get the reward in the hereafter. However, if they do it, and that's the only thing available, then you make sure you pay, you know what I mean, to get your kid to that teacher so that your kid can learn the Quran and learn Arabic and learn the religion, right? It should be like this as much as possible. He's fine, man. He's tired. Alhamdulillah. So, to raise righteous children who make dua for their parents. This is a hadith which is two hadith I'm going to mention. The one is the Prophet ﷺ, he said, Inna awladakum min kasbikum. Indeed, your children are from your earnings. Your children are from your earnings, right? This is something that you brought about. This is something that you get. How your children end up is somewhat according to what you put into it, right? Also, another important hadith from Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, that Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, Inna rajula la turfa'u darajatuhu fil jannah. Indeed, a man, his level will be raised in paradise. فَيَقُولُ, so he will say, Anna hadha, from where did this come from? Where does this? How did I get all of this? I didn't do this much in my life. How did I have this level? فَيُقَالُ لَهُ بِإِسْتِغْفَارُ وَالِدِكَ لَكَ, or due to your child seeking forgiveness for you. Subhanallah. Subhanallah. The eighth thing, and who can remember the first seven? Ta'aleem al-ilm. Redirecting a river. Digging a well. Planting a tree. Donating masahif. Raising children. That's 6. We're missing one. Building the masajid. MashaAllah. The 8th one. Bina ad-dur wa waqfuha. Buildings and dedicating them as an endowment, meaning as a waqf for the people, meaning it's to be used for Allah. Here, the Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith, O baytin li ibni sabil banahu, or a house which is built for the traveler, the wayfarer on the road, he built that building. So, this doesn't have to be a house only for those who are traveling. For example, about a week ago or less, we had an old couple come in with a few younger children. Old, I mean my age, right? Maybe a little older. Come in with a couple children. They were on their way somewhere. I don't remember where they said. And they didn't have any money, any gas, a hotel, or anything. I don't know how people travel like that. Why would I head out with my wife and little kids with no money? I don't know. Maybe something happened, took all their money. I don't know, right? I wouldn't advise anyone to head out without a plan ahead of time, right? I would have a plan. So you don't have to beg from people. The upper hand is better than the lower hand. Stop by a masjid and give. Don't stop by a masjid and ask, if you have the ability. But if circumstances come along, maybe the car broke down, maybe someone stole their identity and took all the money from their bank. I don't know, right? But they needed some money. So we gave them a little something, but not much. It would be nice if we could give more, right? Today a guy came. He didn't come for Jummah. And he came in. He wanted someone to buy him a bus ticket to Houston. Same thing. How did you get from where you were to here and not have a ticket all the way to Houston? I don't know how that happens, but it happened, right? He needed like $90 for a ticket. I told him, we don't have it. We only collected $244 at Jummah, and we don't have it. We need more than $244 from Jummah, and that's all we got. So we don't have to give you. I'm sorry, right? But and he was listening to music and some other things, so it was a reason for not wanting to go too much out of the way. But it would be nice for us to have something for people like that, right? For example, if someone were to say, if someone has a little wealth and they say, hey, anytime, this is an idea a brother gave me today, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward him with tremendous good for it. Like, what if someone had money and said, hey, anytime someone asks you, just send them to me, and I'll determine are they truthful or not, and if they're truthful, I'll take care of it. You know what I mean? And that way the masjid doesn't have to say no. The masjid doesn't have to turn them down. And someone says, I'm going to take it upon myself because I got a little bit of money. Or if we made a specific fund where we had something like this in the masjid, where we could help people up to a certain dollar amount or something like that, right? Then we could help and assist people. These are things that we could do. We don't necessarily have to build a whole hotel or buy a room or buy an apartment building and leave one apartment empty for them. We could just have, right, some type of fund where we can afford you a hotel for a few nights or something, right? So this building a building could be for the people who are traveling. It could be in just going through needing a place to stay. It could be for orphans. It could be for students of knowledge, right? Someone says, I want to memorize the Quran, but I got to work. Can't do 10 hours a day and memorize the Quran. I got the ability to memorize, but I don't have the money. So we say, we're going to put you in an apartment. We're going to take care of you for the next 2 years. But after 2 years, you need to be a hafiz. And we're going to check you monthly to make sure you're progressing, right? Something that could be done, right? It could be for orphans or widows. Imagine, how many of our women? There's a 60-some-year-old woman, American Muslim convert, lives about 4 blocks away. 60-some years old. She just had a hip operation. None of us know about her. None of us know about the sister. She's just right down the street, right? She shovels her own snow. She cuts her own grass. 60-some-year-old Muslim woman wearing hijab, cutting grass and shoveling snow. You know, these things, you know, what happens when she can't take care of herself anymore? She's going to need a place to stay. Someone needs to we need to develop these things to help take care of these people, to help take care of the poor, right? All of this is from goodness. Likewise, the Sheikh, he says here, included in this is building general hospitals, right? Building general hospitals that the Muslims can benefit from, and other general public buildings which the public can benefit from them, meaning the public from the Muslims, of course, first and foremost, right? This will get the reward. So what if you say, we can't build a hospital, come on, you know what I mean? Can't do that. But what we could do is the same way we have a fund for travelers and people coming through, we have a fund for people who have outstanding hospital bills. You know, we can help them with their hospital bills. Maybe we know a doctor, and the doctor says, I can get you a prescription cheap, man. I can help you out. You know? Wallahi, other cities do these types of things. They have clinics. They have all types of stuff. Why? And I believe St. Louis even has some of these things. Let's be part of it. Let's be part of it, right? Also, maybe I can't build the masjid. Maybe I can't build the masjid. Maybe I can't build a hospital. But I could buy land. Right? Included in this, we're thinking about the people who are alive, people who need somewhere to stay. What about those people who die and need somewhere to stay? Buying a land and dedicating it as a cemetery. Making a maqbarah for the Muslims. Something specific for the Muslims. Not like those on McKinsey that share with the kuffar and the Muslims, but specific for the Muslims. I believe there might be one here. I'm not sure. I know they were talking about it at one time. If not, let's build one. And you know what? That one is going to get full. So let's build another one anyway. Let's buy land. Let's find the land close by that we can bury the Muslims in. Right? That we can bury the Muslims in. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Man hafara li mayyitin qabran fa'ajannahu fihi." That whoever digs the hole for a dead person and covers him and buries him in it, ujriya lahu min al-ajri ka-ajri maskin uskinahu ila yawm al-qiyamah. He's going to get the reward as if he provided for him a house until the day of judgment. He's provided him a house. Day of judgment 1,000 years from now, that's 1,000 years of rent that he's going to get the reward for that he gave that person. So if that's for a person who dug a hole and buried him, what about the one who bought the land and made it for the people? Even more so. Even more so. The ninth thing, the person who dies while standing guard, right, against the enemies, right? So the person who is the soldier who's standing guard on line, and, you know, this makes us think about our brothers all around the world, in Saudi Arabia and Yemen, Sudan, everywhere else that are trying to stand and and keep safety and peace in the Muslim lands, and they're dying in these wars, that inshallah ta'ala they die shuhada. They die trying to guard the frontiers of the Muslims. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, Ribatu yawmin wa laylatin khayrun min siyam ash-shahr wa qiyamihi. Here he's going to mention 4 characteristics of the person who stands guard for a day and a night, much less someone who is standing guard for 4 years of service or 2 years, whatever the country makes you enlist in, or whatever you enlist for. 20 years some people are in the military, right? The reward for standing guard for a day and a night is better than fasting an entire month and standing an entire month in a night prayer. SubhanAllah. That's first. وَإِن مَاتَ جَرَ عَلَيْهِ عَمَلُهُ الَّذِي كَانَ يَعْمَلُهُ. And if he dies in doing that, guarding the frontier, then he's going to continue to get the reward of all the good deeds he was normally doing even after he dies. So the salah, the sadaqah, the fasting, the hajj, the umrah, the righteousness to his parents, building, whatever he did on a normal basis, his good deeds, he's going to continue to get that reward even though he died. وَأُجْرِ عَلَيْهِ رِزْقُهُ. And he'll continue to get his rewards, his provisions. He's died, he doesn't need them. So he's going to get that in the hereafter. And the provisions in the hereafter are better than the provisions here. وَأَمِنَ الْفَتَّانِ. And he's safe from the trial in the grave. And he's safe from the trial in the grave. This is the reward for standing guard in the way of Allah. The Shaykh, he says, this includes not only the soldier who is standing on guard with his gun and his binoculars and he's watching, making sure the enemy doesn't attack. It also includes the one who assists them with their wealth. Maybe he equips that soldier. He's old and can't do it. So he equips that soldier, gives him some shoes, gives him a gun, gives him binoculars, takes care of his family while he's gone. So he gives sadaqah in the way of Allah, and he gives sadaqah in the way of helping this person. And so because of this, he will have the same reward as the one who's protecting the Muslims. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, "Man jahaza ghaziyan fi sabilillah." Whoever prepares a soldier in the way of Allah. I can't fight. My knees are bad. You don't want me out there. I'm a liability. You don't want me on the battlefront. I'm a liability. I'm fat, I'm slow, and my knees are bad. I'm going to complain my back. Oh, I got to sit down. You got to wait for me. Are you okay? While you're asking me, you okay? You get shot in the head because you're looking at me instead of looking at the enemy. You don't want me there, but I got some money, right? So I'm going to give you a horse. I got a horse. I can't ride it. My back's bad. I give you my horse. I give you my gun. I give you some food. I take care of your family while you're gone. Don't worry about that. I help you. Whoever prepares a soldier in the way of Allah, كَانَ لَهُ مِثْلُ أَجْرِهِ مِنْ غَيْرِ أَنْ يُنْقَصُ مِنْ أَجْرِ الْغَازِ شَيْئًا. He's going to have the same reward of the soldier without that soldier's reward being diminished at all. SubhanAllah. Allah is merciful, ya akhwan. So take advantage of this. Allah is helping you. Nuh lived 1,000+ years, 950, and that was given dawah. How much did he live after that? He called his people for 950 years. But he lived after that. How long was he alive giving dawah? Right? We don't live that long. We live 60, 70 years. How are you going to get the reward of Noah? You're going to get the reward by doing these things. The 10th of them, inshallah, is sadaqatun jari, as we said. And that means it includes everything we mentioned, as well as any other type of sadaqah that can come up that we didn't think of, mentioned in the book, or can come up that were not possible for us to do yet. Right? They're not possible for us to do yet. Whoever reflects on these 10 things, then he should realize he needs to busy himself trying to accomplish them, at least a portion of them. So we have knowledge. All of us can teach someone something, right? Even the little guy back there. He'll teach somebody something at school. He can help out. You can teach your younger brother. You teach your younger brother. You teach like this. One day, we can all teach something. We can also do something with water, right? We can not necessarily redirect a river, but we can maybe make a fountain where people are able to drink from, or birds are able to put a bird bath in your front yard. Get one of them concrete bird baths and put it in your front yard. Sadaqah. You see what I'm saying? Put a hose out there, put a jug out there for birds or rabbits or whatever it might be, anything that eats from it. Give them some water. You know, let them do this. All of this is included. Digging wells, giving out, buying cases of water, put it in there for the Muslim. That refrigerator, people don't like it. It makes too much noise. Get a new refrigerator. So I'm going to get a refrigerator. I saw one for sale somewhere. I know a store closing out. Get it, put one in there for the Muslims, right? To hold cold waters for the Muslims. Types of things. If that one goes all the way bad, somebody replace it. This is good enough for now. All the way bad in the future, replace it. We also have planting a tree. Plant a tree, right? Plant a tree. Any type of tree. Shade. You know, we breathe the oxygen that trees give off, and trees take the carbon monoxide that we breathe, and it turns it back into oxygen that we can breathe, and it's a big cycle. So not just a date palm tree. If you want to have a date palm tree and you want to give people the benefit of a date palm tree, maybe, this is from me, not from the sheikh, maybe for me, maybe I buy dates and put them back there on the table. That's what that table's for. That table's back there so people could have dates, because the Prophet ﷺ told us to put dates in the masjid for the fuqara. So I can't grow a date palm tree. I live in America. It gets cold. It's never going to live, never going to produce fruit. But what I can do is I can go to Jay's International or Mideast Market. I could buy a box of dates and I could put it back there for the people. That's as close as I can get to building a date tree, right? Or I can talk to somebody overseas and maybe help build, plant some trees over there, whatever the case might be. Also, we have, after that, number 5, building a masjid. Right? This masjid's almost finished. Alhamdulillah. Still has some work. You can help us with that. After that, you can help other masajid. Man, Grand, they did this. This was nice. You could do this. I'm going to do this. I got an idea. I saw this here. You can help out. Go there. You see the people. They don't pray. They're not praying there often. Like a masjid down the street. I don't want to mention the name. Out of shyness for them, right? They don't pray there. Say, I'm going to go there. I'm going to talk to the imam. Give me a key. I'm going to open up for Fajr. You ain't here for Fajr? Let me open it up for Fajr. 2 or 3 people go down there and live in that masjid. And live in that masjid. Right? If they can, teach a class and live in that masjid. Right? Teach a Quran class. Teach an Aqidah class. Go over what we went over. Go over the translation when it comes. Just read the translation of the book when it comes out. We have other books. You can read those translations and give them away. Printing masahif. Well, can't all print masahif, but we can buy them and donate them to different places, right? Raising righteous children. Maybe you can't raise your own. The famous story of Malik ibn Dinar comes to my mind, that his daughter died when he was a bad guy, and then he became a good guy. He was a mean person. He used to drink, and then he made tawbah, and he had a little daughter, and she passed away, and then he became a bad guy again, kind of, because of depression. He became depressed. And then he saw his daughter in a dream, And his daughter, it's a long story, I'm trying to summarize it. Saw his daughter in a dream, and the dream scared him and made him make tawbah one more time. And he told this story because he was late to the dars. And he was late, and he said, I'm going to tell you why I'm late. I don't normally talk about myself, but I'm going to tell you why I'm late. He told the story how he was a bad guy, and then he became a good guy, and then his daughter died. He became a bad guy again. He had a dream, became a good guy again. He said, I don't have my daughter, but all y'all are my children. All the Muslims who come visit me, Malik ibn Dinar was a scholar of Islam. All the Muslims who come learn from him become his children. The scholars talk about teaching knowledge and having a book. They say your book is your child, which is your eternal child. As long as your book stays in print, as long as your book exists, that's your eternal child. You continue to get benefit from it, right? So raising righteous children, not just your own. Building houses, public housing for the people. Like we said, maybe we can't build a house, maybe we can't buy this apartment building and use it, but maybe I have an apartment, it's empty, I can use. Maybe we can rent an apartment just to make it available for the people if they need it. Maybe we can just make a fund, that we can help people occasionally, step by step, step by step. And if we have the intention, inshallah ta'ala, we still get rewarded even if we're never able to accomplish it. The ninth one, which was dying while guarding the frontiers in the way of Allah Azza wa Jal. And like I said, we're not in the army, we're not in the land, we live in the army, but we can help out those soldiers, or we can also, with knowledge, Sheikh Uthaymeen, rahimahullah, going back, and they're all related. Many of them all fall under sadaqatun jariyah in one way or another, or they fall into others. So Sheikh Uthaymeen, rahimahullah, he said, learning or teaching knowledge today is the jihad of today. The jihad of the pen is greater than the jihad of the sword. It's easy. I tell you, use a pump. I'll punch you in your mouth. What you gonna do? You're an old man. Your knee's bad. You're gonna talk trash, right? But I tell you, go memorize Baqarah. That's hard. Which one was harder? Standing up to me or memorizing Baqarah? Baqarah was harder. You understand? You understand? We all want to be something. Even though dying in jihad in the way of Allah is difficult. Right? It's difficult. But it's maybe easier than learning. Sitting down, buckling, down and learning. And the 10th of them was sadaqatun jariyah, something which was general. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us of those who try to fulfill these actions, individually and collectively. And when we work collectively, we can help each other out in a lot of different ways. I'll take care of the hospital bills, you take care of the hotel bills, you take care of the wayfarer, you take care of the masahif, you take care of this, you take care of reading the salat, you take care of memorizing, you take care, you see what I'm saying? I know all of us collectively, we did all 10. Collectively we did all 10, and then we can, okay, you did hospital bills for a while, man. Now you got to do building a masjid. I'm gonna do hospital. We share it, and with that, inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we'll be able to make him pleased and see a mountain of rewards that we never thought we would have seen with the small actions that we've done in our lifetime. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. If there's any questions or comments, inshallah, then I'll try to address it. Anything?
The place for the wayfarer,
Mm.
the wayfarer, that would fall under zakat too, right?
It could fall under zakat as well now. Allah allows us to knock out multiple things with, multiple rewards with just one action many times. Abdurrahman, you call it that?